Hello, wild ones. This is Dark Moon Chiron, the little corner of the universe where together we illuminate the secrets of your dreams, your subconscious, and your forgotten self. This is a storytelling dream interpretation podcast, and I'm your guide, Megan Rose McMullen, the Wild Dream Sorceress. This podcast is structured in 3 parts. Beginning the dream journey, I share the story of a sleeper's adventure. Whether the dream is my own or one that was submitted, I speak in first person for anonymity because let's face it, sometimes our dreams can be quite wild. Once we follow the dreamer's quest entirely, we decipher each piece of the labyrinth, unlocking new levels of consciousness along the way. Then the enchanted tale ends with an intuitive reading on the inner workings of the hero's psyche, hopefully leaving you, the listeners, with a new understanding of the innate magic and power that lies inside the hidden world within each of us. Allow the story to transform your ordinary waking lives into your wildest dreams. Or at the very least, strap in and enjoy this imaginary ride. Are you ready to get wild?
Hello, hello, hello. Today we're going to do a little bit different because I had this awesome dream and I just had to share with you. It's a short dream. And so I wanted to share how I kind of do my dream practice, right? So not only do I set my intention before I go to bed at night, which would look like something like I will remember my dreams with clarity. I am protected throughout my dream journey. And I will wake up easily and record my dreams. That's just something you would say before bed. I have a 21-day challenge, free challenge, should you want to become a more advanced streamer, that has all the the tricks, tips, and hacks so that you can become a more advanced dreamer to remember your dreams. So if you don't remember your dreams, totally fine. I've had people who don't remember any of the dreams, and like within 3 days to 2 weeks, I've had people say that they reported dreams. But I do have that in my portal, which will be in the show notes. But not only is that before bedtime, I ask specific questions, I state my intention, whatever it is that I'm trying to kind of like suss out based on, the previous day. It kind of looks like this. So I'll start from the very beginning. I wake up in the morning and I record my dream on my phone. So through my voice app, etc. And I'll just record it maybe even while I'm going to the bathroom or taking the dogs out. I try to do it within the first 5 minutes of waking up because within 5 minutes, you lose about 50% of it. Within 10 minutes, you lose about 90% of it, unless you practice. And the more you practice, the more you'll remember it even later on in the day. But I always highly recommend getting a practice recording them, because the deeper that you go into the unconscious and the subconscious, the harder it is to remember, because it takes a lot of awareness and it takes a lot of energy to kind of remember all the dreams and details. So it's really important. So that's kind of what I do. And then I get kind of ready, and then I come and I write down my dream. And sometimes I'll just like record my dream and then I'll write down what I remember of it. Or if I do remember it, I'll just write it out. And then I either use my notebook, or I have this worksheet that breaks down the different sections. I'm sure you've seen this. If you haven't seen this, it's also in the show notes. It's free. And basically helps you break down the different elements of your dream so that you can get a better, more clear, concise interpretation. And then you get to see like the commonalities, the themes, etc., that come from it. From there, once I get all of that kind of situated, I do my own dream interpretation, right? And throughout the day, I will have memories, or I'll have parts of myself that kind of like come up, or I'll have things that trigger me, or projections or ruminations. I make sure to write them throughout my day so that by the end of the day, I had like kind of an evaluation, and then I can set my intention again for the day. And I try to keep one intention for like a week, 3 days to a whole full week, to see if there's any commonalities or themes that happen while I'm dreaming. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the same question or intention every single night that you go to sleep. So last night I did the same one as I had the 2 previous nights, and I've just kind of accumulate for the week to see if there's any other, like, I might get some information from one. It might not be clear because a lot of times we are in our own way when it comes to our own healing because we can't really see ourselves. That's like what the shadow is all about. However, it's really good to kind of ask it repetitively and then kind of bring all the interpretations together. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to do it for a whole week. You could do a couple nights. But anyway, this is kind of my own personal journey. You can play around with it. I make sure that even if I have just like a snippet, like this one's from a couple days ago, but last night I had just like all I remembered was there's a massive stage and it was like dusk or dark outside. There wasn't any lighting. There's no lighting anywhere. And I recorded it because even the smallest things, because I actually found out over the last week that it's a repetitive thing that shows up in my dreams is the stage. It's a stage. It shows up in more and more of my dreams, like especially lately. So that's a good thing. And so I can kind of think about like what stage means to me and like what happens on a stage, and is it relating to a stage in my life, and I can contemplate this. And I can also, since it's really coming up in my my dreams, I can ask my dreams at night. Like I can literally go to bed for the next 3 nights and be like, okay, show me more about what stage means. Like, let me do this, right? I've been working with the Toltec secrets of dreaming and the art of dreaming, and I've been doing a lot of mirror work. And recently, more mirrors have been showing up in my dreams, which makes sense, right? So it's kind of like things like that kind of pull out. So that's why it's important to like record your dreams, even if it's like small one, and they're really cool. Like dreams are cool. And they can tell you a lot about yourself. As you know, I geek out about dreams. So I love dreams. I think they're all fascinating and interesting. And I could go on for days, and I do. So anyway, this is the whole point of this is just to tell you that like when you're doing your own dream practice, make sure you're doing what feels right to you. So if you decide that you want to ask a different question and set a different intention every night, by all means. If your intention is that you would eventually like to become a lucid dreamer, which means that you have like awareness that you are dreaming, that's your intention, then, that would be a question that you would ask. How can I become more lucid in my dreams? So on and so forth. It's all really based on your desires and your needs. And in the 21-day challenge, I even have a questionnaire that kind of like helps you understand and like assess what kind of dreamer you are, where you're at on your dream practices, such as sleep hygiene, disturbances, where you would like to go, why you would like to be a lucid dreamer, or why you want to use your dreams. And it just really is important to understand why. And if maybe you just want to start manifesting things, or you want to maybe help heal some trauma, or that like dreams are a tool that you can use on your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical journey, you can do that. You can tap into that part of your soul and like really understand yourself on a different level. And if you've been following along since the beginning, I bet you know this already, but for everyone else, like seriously, if you are not using dreams to help you along your life and like to build a life beyond your wildest dreams and like to transform your life, then you are seriously missing out, because it's fun. It's a fun way to transform and like do personal development, and it's faster. Like it expedites exponentially. Like my life, I have been working with my dreams for the last 3 years, and then I've been on this like transformation journey for like the last 5 years. And only in the last 3 years has my life really started turning around quickly. I mean, so quickly. Yeah, you can ask anyone in my life. I mean, I can talk about it if you guys are interested and know like how this like progression has went with my life, but I really started to use my dreams to like really help me get over hurdles, imposter syndrome, figure out what my body needs, like more protein. My dreams once told me like I need to start working with my hormones, which was really important. I had done a couple interpretations from like a couple years ago when I was like really malnourished. I didn't know that I was malnourished. I have this like a gene mutation that like eats up a specific vitamin, and I think I'm getting off track, but it's anyway, this mutation, and I was a vegetarian or vegan, and it is eats up B9 and B12, which are the harder ones to find on a vegetarian vegan diet. And I have been doing this diet for 10 years and I was so malnourished. And so I was actually doing some dream interpretation of dreams back there, and I realized that my dreams were like telling me like, hey, look, like this isn't healthy for you. You should be doing something else. Yeah, so anyway, but this happened a couple days ago. I woke up and I had to write it down. It was so beautiful. It's so cute. Okay, so let me just read it to you. It was both, it's not going to be the story like it was before. It was both a baseball field and a living room, as if the field was inside the room, yet the room wasn't huge, just an ordinary sized room. I was on the team called Arlo's. Arlo sticks out because it was a word that I was on repeat when I woke up. I kept saying Arlo, Arlo, Arlo when I woke up. And it made me think of the movie The Good Dinosaur. Our teams were painting the north wall, and I know it's north because according to Toltec dream, or like dream interpretation and arts, it's like wherever you first become aware before you start turning your perspective is north, just so you know. We're painting the north wall. It was an addition made to the room, so it made it smaller. So like if you were looking at the wall, it came out and like in, and then it wasn't even half the room. It was like 2/3 of the room and then half of the room. So it was like an addition, like you could see. It was a really big room, but it wasn't like huge, right? There was a baseball field in it. Like it's not like that. So anyway, I know it was an addition to that made to the room because it made it smaller, as if something was hiding behind it. It cut the room in half, making the addition of the room like a fourth of the room. So the whole addition room was like a fourth of the room. I don't know why I felt like I needed to write that down, but I did. It was an antique off-white, yet now yellowing silk wallpaper. We were painting it highlighter colors, pink, yellow, and orange. The paint made the wallpaper bubble up and it was ready to peel off, but some of it was still sticking. The silk was absorbing the paint, so only colors were visible along the outline of the wall. So it was an outline. Near the trim, so it was like near the trim and the floor and the ceiling, but all the rest of it had been just like absorbed into the silk wallpaper. We had to look through binocular lenses to see the colors because the room was so dark. Our competitors were actually playing tricks on us to cheat, getting everyone out on my team, and then it was my turn to hit the ball. It dropped in left field, and I ran to first. However, I stole second before I woke up. So this is cool because I hadn't actually watched The Good Dinosaur, but I did know that Arlo, because my nieces and nephews really like that movie, The Good Dinosaur. So I knew Arlo was his name because there was like a thing, but I never had watched the movie. I had known about it, but I never watched it. I had seen bits and pieces of it, I think, but not like all of it. So yeah, so it was really cool. It was a cool dream, but what was even better is like when I started to interpret the dream, I started to realize how really cool it is. So I just broke things down. So baseball, I would say, equals a game. Field equals freedom. The walls equal constriction. The living room is about socializing. The team is about community or helpful relationships. Arlo, I actually looked this up when I got up, and Arlo equals armed hill / it could mean protected or guarded, which I think is kind of interesting. I also looked up like Arlo baseball to see if there was like a team. There was a guy named Arlo on a team at some point, but like I didn't like it didn't really come up. He's from like Fertile, Minnesota, something. Anyway, so North is about ancestors. Um, Yellow is related to the solar plexus chakra, about identity and confidence. We got orange, which is about sacral or creativity. Highlighter could also mean like spotlight. And something about outlines kind of sticks out to me now, but I don't have it like here. Outlines, like it outlines. Outline is like the breakdown, right? Like a breakdown of something, like the main points. So that's kind of interesting. Bubble could also mean spotlight. So it was bubbling up for peeling back layers. Bubble could be spotlight, like a bubble can encompass something. Like it could also mean ease because the bubble created ease to pulling the paper up. Painting could mean creativity, or it could even mean covering up. So you're trying to hide the old with the new. Again, the second layer of hiding, right? The constriction of the wall, like it felt like the addition was like there was no doors on it or anything. So it double hide, like it could be hidden stuff. Competitors could be like representing blocks or fears, right? So like competition. The archetype of cheating or tricksters, like tricking you, playing tricks on you, cheaters, that's like an archetype. It's about like putting on one front for like, it's kind of like what is it called? It's like trying to do illusions, right? Like so like a magician almost, like it has like this like playing tricks on you to divert your eyes, take you away from something that's over here. Like that's kind of what tricks do. It's like a play of a sleight of hand or making you focus over here while something is happening over here. Like that's what kind of like illusions and tricksters archetype is, which comes back to the hidden thing, right? So and of course we're talking about the unconscious, the darkness, the dark room is important because one, realms are like we're always talking about the unconscious when we're in dream world and subconscious. Two, the darkness of here, the darkness of the room, the constriction, hidden. There's so much that's saying that there's like this is all very much unconscious, subconscious information. I also think because it was a team and there wasn't anyone specific, it's talking about a collective unconscious as well, how the collective unconscious is affecting me individually. Then I stole base. To steal means to take something that's not yours. It's dark. We're working with the unconscious, the shadow. I stole second base, number 2. So I was writing down my goals the other day and I labeled them 1 through whatever, like 7 or something like that, like my main goals. And so I was wondering if, and I had asked the question when this dream came up, like when I went to bed, I was like, no, considering all my goals, and I said this before bed and I repeated this until I went to sleep. Considering all of my goals, how can I achieve them in the fastest way possible? Or what do I have to, what was it? What needs to that was what it is. Considering all of my goals, and I was talking to my subconscious and the divine and the soul, my soul, or whatever you want to call. Considering all of my goals, what needs to happen in order for me to achieve them in the fastest way possible, meaning with ease and speed. And that was what I was saying over and over and again. This is the dream I had. So 2 could either mean duality. So like in numerology, it could mean 2, or it could be my second goal, which is interesting because my second goal is actually a creative goal. So, and we're talking about painting, and we're also talking about, so you have the painting creativity, and you have the orange sacral chakra, which is creativity as well. So, um, yeah, so I think that can have two meanings. So don't ever like limit yourself about what the meaning is. Like one of the reasons I absolutely cannot stand dream books is because it's so rigid. It says, okay, well, if you dream about this, it means this. Well, it could have two meanings. Like there are multiple layers. Like the first layer could be that painting means to hide, we're covering up something. But the second layer of it, it could mean creativity. It could have five meanings. And that's why like pulling out individual aspects of your dream and writing them out to see what's like a recurring, like multiple things, like when you put the pieces together, like if you put this piece together with this piece, it means this thing. But then you could take this piece that you just had and add it with another one, and it can mean this. And then you could take this one that you already had too and put it in with two more pieces, and it could make this. So there's like multiple layers to dream analysis and interpretation. So it's really good to like pull out as much information as you can. And so really this is like, so what I did is I wrote out what I felt like this was saying. So I felt like this is a change. They're like, so pink and north, so the combination of those two, I think it's a message from the ancestors talking about how things are changing. We're in this cycle of change. And so this is my interpretation that I wrote out. In the social area, living room, is dealing with the relationships and community, the team as well. There's a fear, competitors, blocking or hiding, like that's the Waller addition. So I'm not sure how this goes. So, okay, let me just put, so message to the ancestors, and I got that from North and Pink. In a social area, dealing with relationships and community, got that from the living room and team. There's a fear, competitors. Blocking or hiding, the Waller addition, the truth. Truth is based on highlighter and the lighting of the wall. It's an old truth, so vintage yellowing wallpaper. You are protected and guarded from Arlo. It is safe to peel back the layers and the bubbling wallpaper, and you could do it with ease, right? And you will find what you're looking for. The confidence, so the yellow of the solar plexus, freedom, the field, fun, which is a game of baseball, and creativity, which is both the painting and the orange highlighter, and number 2 possibly. It will give you the advantage to steal second. So the advantage is, so it'll give you advantage, and that's to steal second. So I got an advantage of the team because I stole second, and it'll help take back what was lost or stolen. Also, the stealing of second. So because the competitors, the fears, were stealing things that weren't theirs and tricking us, playing this like diversion game, you will get if you work through this and you pull back and you change, you will take back what was already taken from you. And this is in the realm of the unconscious, some shadow work. So what came up for me is when I was waking up and I was writing this down, 2 memories when I was that felt shameful when I was drinking, about my drunk self, came up when I was talking about it. And it was about how like there's a part of me that is being on vulnerable, right? When I share with the world dreams, or I share my gifts with the world, there's a fear that people won't think that I'm deserving because I have this shady, shadowy past, right? And that's why I like to work with dreams, because it all is shady and shadowy. So it's like, it's so, it's sticky and icky that people don't really want to face it. Like, many people do not want to admit they just can't handle looking at their shadow because of so much fear and negativity and rejection and a fear. It's just so much that it feels like impossible to do. And so I feel like the call to action was to do some shadow work on these specific memories, and then also watch Arlo. So here's the crazy part about this. So I told you I had never watched Arlo all the way through. I know the concept of it. I knew kind of the concept of this dinosaur that got lost and had to find his way back home, you know. But the crazy thing, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched The Good Dinosaur, the crazy part about this is Arlo is a small, cowardly dinosaur. He has shame for failing his dad. He has shame for failing his family because he can't do what everyone else does. And he's not thriving like the rest of his family. Like, his brother and sister, like, and his dad, they all like thrive in this area that's just like, they just almost like it was so natural for him. But like, no matter how hard Arlo tries, like, he couldn't overcome his fears. He couldn't do this. And his dad was like pushing him, and he knew his dad really wanted him and trusted him and believed in him and thought that he was going to do such great things. And so he felt the shame for failing his dad, and he ends up like in this situation. His dad gives him this great gift, I guess. Like, his dad thought it was a gift to like prove and get his mark and do this great thing. And it's about capturing this critter. And what happens is that because of consequences, his dad's shadow comes out too and like pushes him. He's like, his dad sees the light and potential in Arlo that Arlo doesn't see yet. And he's trying to force it. His dad's trying to force Arlo to become this awesome dinosaur. But he can't do this because he's not in the right environment. So what happens is the dad's shadow takes off and does something out of character. And the consequence of both of their actions is that the dad ends up dying. And that's more shame on top of this, right? And then on top of that, he actually ends up chasing after and blaming and projecting his fear or his anger and his shame onto this critter and blames him. Arlo's like pointing his finger at this thing and he's like, your fault. He doesn't have a finger, but if he did have a finger, pointing at the critter and being like, it's your fault that this happened. It's your fault. Like, as he goes chasing after this critter, not thinking, he's reactive, he's angry. He ends up getting swept away in the river and he gets lost and he has to make his way back. Okay. And through the adventure, Arlo becomes brave and he gets to face down things that he was scared of and couldn't handle. And so when he comes back, he actually begins to thrive in his old environment because he actually stepped into his own. He gained confidence. He was in these situations where he had to be brave and he had to do these things because it was that or death. And so like a dark night of the soul almost. And basically he starts doing these things and he actually comes up to it comes back around the storm and facing and saving somebody. He got to do it over again and he succeeded because he chose better than the last time that happened, right? He didn't let fear win out. And I feel like this is such a great message. And I think this is what my ancestors or my soul, the divine, whatever the universe, the collective is trying to say is like, the places that we have fear are the places that have the most magic because in some environments people thrive where other people don't. And I witness this a lot with my neurodivergence is like some people thrive in these things and I feel like I'm like, why can't I do that? Like, I don't do well in that kind of situation, but in these other situations I do really well. But I have to be in those situations. And it wasn't until I was like almost in my 30s where I started to realize like I'm doing everything right and I'm just not thriving because I'm doing everything the way that everybody else said that I should. This just doesn't feel right. And I had spent a lot of time drinking to numb the fact that like I just didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't fit in like everyone else did. And I wasn't making friends the way people did. And I wasn't thinking the same way. And I had these intrusive thoughts and this depression and all this other stuff. Um, it, and I was trying to hide it and repress it through alcohol and drugs and being in relationships with people who might not necessarily have been the right people, and kind of just like working through it. And those places that I had a lot of shame is when I also would drink so much and I would put myself into these really crappy situations because my shadow would come up. But what happened now is that I can go back to those places of shame and realize that they were building me to have courage and to face the things and to forgive and to live and find my way back home so that I could be my better self. And I just think this is so fun. And this just shows like how cool connect. Like I never seen Arlo ever, but like, my subconscious is like being like, hey, like this is the message that we need you to see. Like in order to do this, you need to believe in yourself. You need to understand that like the messy situations and the scary places that you have been are all part of your journey and they're part of your magic. That's it. That's all. And you can achieve any goal that you desire. And I think that that's super helpful and blessing. Do you love this podcast and want your own personal private dream reading? Because your dreams might be a little too weird, or you're not really sure, even though that you've learned how to interpret dreams over the last episodes or so, and you've bought the workbook or the course, but you're still looking for more help. I can help you. I do personal readings, private readings that I can. It's about an hour long usually, where people talk and we just discuss, and then by the end of it, you also have the call to actions, the interpretation, the messages, as well as some practices or exercises to try after to continue your dream practice. Because, like I said multiple times, dreams are free and it's a great way to expedite your transformation and your personal development, as well as your healing of your mental and emotional issues or concerns. Manifesting, bringing in and calling in things, being creative, tapping into flow, learning to trust your intuition. That's another one. That's a big one. But personal readings, and private readings are super helpful if you really have dreams and you're not really sure where to go. I can teach you while we work one-on-one. So I also have, like, say you really enjoy this whole podcast thing and you want to become an advanced dreamer. I have a 3-month container or an annual container where we can work together for 3 months to a year, where you could become a advanced dreamer, where you could do this like while you sleep. So check out the show notes and descriptions. And I just want to say I'm so grateful that you're all here and listening, because I just so much enjoy this. This is honestly so fun. I love playing in the shadows. I love adventuring into the unknown and kind of tapping into the unconscious. So thanks for listening to Dark Moon Chiron. I hope you found what you're looking for and enjoyed the ride. If you'd like to share your dream adventures with the world, please head over to our website, darkmoonchiron.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, there are multiple ways to donate and support us. You can find them in the show notes. All content shared in this podcast is copyrighted by Dark Moon Chiron Incorporated 2022. All rights reserved. None of its content can be used without prior authorization. So until next time, dream big and be wild.